On the 5900, and then just specifically, you already spoke twice now about being fitted back to the bike in the last year, and I was curious how much that changed, and if it relates to the new bike at all, or the different dimensions, or what your problem is exactly after being off the bike.
Well, the bike definitely changed, because it went from a flat top tube to a sloping top tube, which was I was always against, as you probably know, I was always against a sloping top tube. But I ended up appreciating the bike for its lightness and stiffness. The positioning part of it, I just in 2009, I just didn't pay close enough attention to that. So in the past, and I think most of you probably know as well, I mean, I was obsessed with measurements and carrying my tape measure everywhere I went and measuring my bike every day before I got on it. That didn't happen at all in 2009. And my position and the positioning suffered due to that. So just for example, my seat now on the seat post is probably 2 centimeters higher now than it was on the tour. Just ignoring these things and making big mistakes there. But the other thing too that's interesting about the sloping top tube is that the perception of the rider on the bike looks different. So, because I get, with things like Twitter and Facebook and email, and you get constant feedback from everybody. So you wouldn't believe how many tweets I get from people. Your position looks terrible. Because the rider relative to the frame looks different when it's a flat top tube versus a sloping top tube. And then also there were other changes in the past. I've ridden Dura-Ace my entire career where the levers are much shorter. You go to Red at SRAM and the lever itself is just a longer lever, so your extension is different. All those things add up to the images looking different than what people are used to. So then you get the armchair consultants that they give you those messages daily. But I think we got it right. We made some changes here with the retool system.
Yeah.
On the position didn't so much change. I mean, in the past I was always from the center of the bars to the tip of the seat, 56.5. And that's where it is today. The seat height is where it's supposed to be all year long. It's back to where it's supposed to be. The other key thing is in the beginning of the year I didn't ride a Concours Light. And so after, I think, California, I went back to the Concours Light. So I just kind of went back to the stuff I'd used in the past. Today's changes were all based on Q Factor and Johan's insistence that I change pedals finally. So we went with the look pedal today and changed the Q a little bit, just based on this imaging that Retool has. So felt good in the ride today, no side effects, no problems. But it's pretty compelling if you look at the imagery, that 3D imagery of how your pedal stroke and the way your hip, your knee, and your foot line up. Yeah. And so it's good.
Okay, time for 2 more, folks.
Lance, I'm curious if you see yourself contesting a world championship ever again, and also if you think the hour record is still within your reach.
No hour record, ever. I think Cancellara should do the hour record, and we'll just leave it at that. Let him break it. The worlds are an interesting idea. Sitting here in December, it's easy to say yes. And then you get through the tour and you realize that you've got 2 more months or 2.5 more months, and then you've got to go to Australia, and the course is not terribly tough or difficult. So probably not, but I don't know. I mean, when the worlds leave sort of the main part of Western Europe, it's always a great event. It's a much bigger event, at least it seems like. And to go to Melbourne would be super cool. But I'd probably guess that I wouldn't be there.
Why is it so hard for the Americans to send their top caliber riders to the world?
Well, I think that's going to change. I think it's going to start to change. In fact, last week I rode a few days in Aspen with this young kid, TJ Van Garter, and then he asked me about the Worlds. He said, would you be interested in going to the Worlds, and we could build a great team around Tyler Farrar, because as I said, the course is just not that tough, and I think it really suits a strong classic style sprinter. He'd be great there. But there's no doubt that if you look at our roster of all the American pros, you could take 12 guys there that would be very strong. But it's just, people's priorities have to be in line. I think the tour is so significant in the American fan psyche that the world's guys just don't put it on their priority list. And, maybe back in the day it was, but when they moved the date, back in the old days, it used to be a month after the tour, so guys would do the tour, use that condition, do a few races, do the Summer World Cups, and then go to the Worlds. But then when they moved it back to October, it changed. I think it changed its importance on the international calendar.
Lance, Sean Moore with Bicycle Radio. You talked about building a really in-depth team with RadioShack, but I guess in respect to your relationship with Livestrong and the U23 team, looking ahead, what kind of pool does that really give you to kind of give RadioShack a future? I mean, is it a good opportunity for you to build riders the way that you'd like to see them?
Well, that was always the intention, was that we would have that program that developed young guys. RadioShack, safe to say, I think it's safe to say, won't be around in 5 years if we don't develop great young talent that have compelling personalities, compelling stories, and have great results, and are good guys. So it's in our best interest. I think it's fun to help develop young guys, but it's in our best interest, and cycling's best interest, that we have this feeder system. And I think really in just 12 months we've kind of come a long ways, and we've got the Trek Livestrong team, and you've got Axel, who's done a great job managing those young guys. We put 2 of those young guys on the team for this year, on the RadioShack team. And our goal in the future would be just to continue this progression through the ranks. So yeah, it's important. And but again, I can't stress enough. I mean, I think that you have to, just having a development program isn't enough to warrant having a very expensive Pro Tour team. You have to be successful, and so we got to continue to do that and bring guys through the system and help them be the best pro they can be.
Thank you. Take the last question from John here.
Sorry, I'm going to go back a little bit to your individual ambitions in the tour. You said that it's kind of foolish to build a team around you at this point, and that you'd be happy to support Levi or Claude, whoever was the strongest rider. And you said with Contador it was a genuine personality conflict, and I wonder, was that a personality conflict or an ambition conflict? And that, could you get along with anybody on your team that was trying to win a race that you also wanted to win?
I don't think it was in it. I mean, as soon as he rode away on Verbier, I mean, I think before that I still thought, well, I'll have that one good day like I always had. But when he rode away on Verbier, I was like, all right, that's it. He's the best guy in the race, and we all have to do our job. But I have to think back to the 16 or 17 years I've done this. I've never had a conflict like that within the team. I mean, you have guys that are, you wouldn't go on vacation with, but it's never been that. That's not my style. If they're your teammate, they're your teammate. You go to war with them, and you do whatever you can. This was just very different. Again, I think the proof is in the pudding, and 8 of the 9 riders from the tour are on Team RadioShack now, and that's a pretty compelling stat, I think, when it comes to Johan's program and to myself and to what we could offer for these guys. And
Can I shoot you just a very quick one? I am sure you heard that we are trying to organize a Tour of Italy starting in 2012, starting in Washington, D.C.
I heard, is that true?
We are having a meeting with the mayor on Thursday with Angelo. What do you think? And it would be great for everybody, just for us, as for America, for maybe you will be still around.
2012. Maybe. Maybe not. 41 years old, Lance Armstrong. I think it's a good idea. I'm not sure the riders would think it's a very good idea, or the staffs of the teams. I mean, that's an incredible thing to ask for guys to fly. From Italy, it'd be 6 hours time difference, do 2 or 3 days, and then to fly back with the time change. Even back in the day, I remember they talked about New York, and they talked about using the Concorde, and it's a 3-hour flight, New York, Paris. Even then, you still have, it's a very, very big task. I don't want to say it's a bad idea. I think it would bring one of the most important races in cycling history right here to the shores of America. But it would be hard on the athletes, for sure. But we'll see what, I know Angelo. When Angelo wants to do something, Angelo does it. So I would support it. I would support it because I'm not going to be there flying back and forth. But as a tifosi, I would think, as a tifosi in America, I would think it's a good thing.